5 lions escaped their enclosure at Taronga Zoo. Staff sent into lockdown at around 7:20 this morning when they were located outside that enclosure. Now, Taronga confirming moments ago, saying an emergency situation occurred at Taronga Zoo, Sydney, when 5 lions were located outside their enclosure. The zoo has strict safety protocols in place for such an incident. All persons on site were moved to safe zones and there are no injuries to guests or staff. All animals, this is the key point, are now in their exhibit where they are being closely monitored. The zoo will open as normal today and further details will be provided when possible.
I tell you what, it is incredibly fortunate that this has happened during a time when there isn't anyone there.
At the zoo.
If there was a pile of visitors there, it might have been a very different story. And so I would imagine that they're going through a few reviews right now, Taronga Zoo, to try and work out exactly what happened. We saw the workers before also try and look for those holes in the fences. Seem to be tugging at some of those fences and various parts along those pretty large and high enclosures to try and ascertain exactly how they got out. They zeroed in on one particular part of the fence and they seemed to rectify that pretty quickly, but that's a scary situation. We don't know any of the details about how they managed to wrangle the lions. We don't know for how long exactly they were out. We're not sure about that, but we know it triggered a number of alarms. We know that sent the zoo itself into lockdown, and it also sent police on their way to the zoo to try and work out if there was any danger to the public. The police only a short time ago have stipulated that it wasn't a matter for them anymore. It was a matter for Taronga Zoo to handle. And then we got the release from Taronga Zoo about 5 minutes ago saying the lions were inside the enclosure, nothing to see here except a couple of holes in the fence.
Key holes in the fence, aren't they? Look, can you just imagine the zookeeper who it was at 7:20 this morning or just after 7 o'clock who went to do either the head count or to feed them, whatever happens at that point, and to realise that 5 lions had escaped the enclosure, probably perhaps having no idea what time they actually got loose or where they were at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, the key thing here is that they got outside the lion enclosure. There's still a big fence around the zoo itself. So I guess they would have been assured in some way that they knew the lions were in that patch of bush, which is just to the left of the screen we're looking at there.
It's a very big deal. It's a very big deal for a Taronga Zoo, a zoo of this stature, of this size in Australia's biggest city. And this is right in the area of suburbia, essentially, in Mosman. Well-to-do suburbia, but suburbia nonetheless. And it's a very difficult thing for them to try and handle at the time, but also it just shouldn't happen. I mean, they're so good at what they do. I'm sure they'll be going through reviews and their procedures and protocols, but it just shouldn't happen, is full stop, given the number of people who visit Taronga Zoo every year. And if it had happened when people are out and about, who knows?
It was interesting, we were looking at earlier where there were some of the zookeepers inspecting that, what we sort of seem to believe is that critical point of the fence, where they got through potentially. There seemed to be some like digging marks or something in the dirt. You can only think of the questions that are being asked right now, like how on earth there was a point in the fence where these lions were able to get out of that enclosure there. Yeah. It looks so secure.
Yeah, it does. And you know, as we pointed out before, there's a whole bunch of fencing, layers of fencing moving up all the way to the entrance of the zoo there, where, Ali, you said you saw the digging marks.
No, well, it looked like, yes. It looked like that.
Could have been a dog.
You know, this is why I always thought that there was a place for you on the police force in an investigative way.
How could you see that from here?
I don't know, but she's got skills.
There was a close-up shot earlier where they were looking at a point near that fence where, where the dirt was.
We're only giving a little bit of shtick.
Oh, look, I'm happy to cop your shtick this morning.
I want to read a tweet from our reporter, Lara Vella, though. It's snowing in November and there are lions on the loose at Taronga Zoo.
Yeah, what's happening?
Happy Wednesday.
Yeah.
What is doing?
Just another hump day.
Maybe none of it true.
Hail at the Melbourne Cup. What's going on?
There's some work to do. I mean, the zoo has said that it'll open up later on. You can imagine the lions will be more popular than ever later on today. There'll be more cameras in there than at the, at the Louvre. So they'll be popular today, the lions, and you can be sure that Taronga will come out and try and explain exactly what happened and to ensure that the public feels safe going there. That's the big thing. And, like we said, there's no dramas, and the zoos handle it all before the zoo's actually opened. So they're particularly good at what they do, and hopefully later on today everything will go well.
And we'll have some more answers. I mean, we were alerted to this morning. It was someone calling in to speak to Ben Fordham on 2GB. They had a family member or a friend who was working construction there at the zoo when the siren started going and everyone was sent into lockdown. And that's when all the staff were sent to a particular area of the zoo. They were locked down, and that's when it was realised that that they were on the loose, or they'd escaped this enclosure.
Good morning, Carl. Look, we're hearing that all of these lions that did escape from their enclosure around 7:30 this morning, the situation here at the zoo, we are being told by zoo officials that it is under control. We're certainly seeing a bit more movement outside the gates here. What we do know is that the area that these lions are kept in, I don't know how familiar you guys are with Taronga Zoo, but it's very close to an area where people can come and stay here at the zoo overnight. So what we've been seeing outside zoo gates, and you might see a few people come past just while we're chatting, Carl, is that people who were evacuated early this morning are being allowed back in with their suitcases here and allowed back into that zoo area where they've been coming to have a luxury stay and an encounter with these animals up close and personal. We did talk to a couple of them as they moved around this morning. They said inside the zoo kept things under control. There was no real sense of alarm within those people that we spoke to this morning. They did say they could hear those alarms going off. We certainly heard them ringing throughout the zoo from around 7:30 this morning, telling zoo staff to find a safe haven within the zoo as they work to secure those animals back inside their enclosure. New South Wales Police, Carl, they were here for a short time this morning, but they too have told us that the situation here at Taronga Zoo is under control and that now there is no threat to the public, and we're certainly seeing some very relaxed zoo stuff outside now.
Well, that certainly changes things, knowing that they're, I think it's part of that roar and snore, isn't it? They have the accommodation at the Taronga Zoo there, and they've got these special cabins, and they also do sleep outs overnight, which is a terrific experience, a very immersive experience. But you don't expect you're going to wake up to the sound of sirens and lions on the loose in the zoo itself. That's a little bit too up close and personal. So what you're saying right now is that the zoo has handled things. There's a notable breathing and a sigh of relief out there in terms of how they're conducting themselves. Like Ali said, they're opening up in what, about an hour's time, so they must be fairly confident whatever problem was there is now fixed.
Yeah, it's important to note that a big bus...
Just because detail is scant at the moment, can you give us a bit of an idea? Like, you say you train for an incident like this, there are protocols in place. What happens when you realise 5 lions have escaped their enclosure?
Oh, look, the way that the zoo would run would be like any other building would, with evacuation plans and very strict teams that do perform certain roles in those situations. And I'd say that's exactly what's happened. I mean, without knowing anything, of course, of what happened, it certainly sounded like the lions were contained within another enclosure anyway. So I think that they were just being extra careful about people's safety. But there are procedures around all facets of animal care, and one of them, unfortunately, has to be animal escape.
The issue is going to be, again, how do you plan for that and you don't know where it's going to come either, especially if you've got, tens of thousands of people in there having a look.
No, of course, but you'd be amazed. Like the zoo would be broken up into sections. You have wardens in every area whose responsibility is to clear it. You're talking about people that know the site better than anyone, and that's why you do drills. I mean, it's why the building you're in would do a fire drills, just so that it works completely flawlessly in this situation. I mean, incredibly scary, and I felt that everyone that was there, they would just be terrified for, the potential, because those the lions would be scared out of their minds as well. You know, they thrive on their routine. They thrive on knowing what's happening. So I'm just so pleased that this has ended the way it has.
Well, that's, isn't it? You know, that's it, isn't it? That it has played out safely and relatively quickly. But your mind does go to the worst case scenario of what could have happened here. Can you imagine how those zookeepers felt coming in to, whether it's feed or check on the lions in the morning, and realise that 5 were on the loose?
Well, I think just like I said, their hearts would have gone out to those lions. I mean, these are zoo professionals that have devoted their life to animal care, and they would have been feeling for those animals like they were their absolute family, and done absolutely anything possible for this to resolve the way that it has. So, yeah, my hat's off to them for it.
Given what's happened and the fact that the kids are going in there today, they're going to open up a little bit later, they must have got to the bottom of it pretty quickly.
Yeah, exactly. They would err on the side of caution, of course. I think what you've seen is that we obviously don't have the detail, and that will come later, but absolutely that it is completely safe. And gosh, I imagine they're going to be quite busy today because people will want to go and have a look for themselves.
What do you think about letting people back in the zoo today?
No, I don't disagree at all, because they would not do it unless they know way more than what we do. So if they would have gone through strict protocols of everyone being involved as to whether or not that was possible, and if they've made that decision, I have 100% faith in that.
All right, my friend. Well, thank you very much for being with us on what was a pretty troubling morning, I think, and triggering for a lot of people, and not least of all yourself at another zoo.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah, good on you, mate.
Are you out? Are you just double checking all your fences and enclosures today now, Chad?
Well, believe it or not, this will absolutely make us do every bit of protocol check again today. We will review every one of our policies and procedures, because if you can learn anything from somebody else, that's the best way to learn.
Beautiful,
Absolutely.
man. Thank you. Well, let's...
Police operation right now underway at Taronga Zoo in Sydney. There are reports that 4 lions have escaped their enclosure. This is unconfirmed. We're working to confirm this right now. But the helicopter is up in the air. As you can see, there are multiple police officers within the grounds of the zoo. Taronga is in lockdown. Now, we have to stress the reports of animals loose are unconfirmed at the moment, but quite unbelievable, those live shots coming in.